People think revenge is loud. Angry words. Screaming. Drama. But the strongest revenge begins in silence. My name is Ariana Miller. And this is the story of how my own family pushed me into the basement. Without knowing they were handing me the keys to everything. After my father died, the house stopped feeling like home. Not because the walls changed. Not because the furniture moved. But because she took control. My stepmother, Linda Miller. She wore kindness like makeup, perfect on the surface, fake underneath. In front of neighbors, she called me, sweetheart. Behind closed doors, she reminded me every single day that I didn't belong. You should be grateful, she would say, arms crossed, eyes cold. Your father isn't here anymore. I don't have to keep you. Her daughter, Emily, stood behind her like a shadow. Pretty, confident, and always smiling when I suffered. The day everything changed, Linda called me into the living room. Emily was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, not even looking at me. Linda sighed dramatically. We've decided something, she said. That sentence alone made my stomach drop. The upstairs bedroom will be Emily's now. She needs more space, better light, better air. I swallowed. Where will I stay? Linda smiled. The basement. Emily finally looked up and laughed. The basement is perfect for you, Linda said mockingly. A scholarship girl like you should be thankful for any space at all. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Because I had learned something very important after my father's death. Crying never saved me. Silence did. The basement smelled old, cold concrete, dust, forgotten years. There was one small window near the ceiling that barely let light in. A broken couch, a metal shelf, and a locked steel cabinet in the corner. This used to be your grandfather's space, Linda said, tossing my suitcase down the stairs. He kept his junk here. Don't touch anything. Then she turned and left. The door slammed shut. And just like that, I disappeared from the house. At night, I could hear laughter upstairs. Emily's friends. Music. Dinner parties. I ate instant noodles in silence. Studied under a flickering bulb. Worked 2 part-time jobs to keep my scholarship. They thought they had broken me. They had no idea. They had finally given me privacy. And privacy is dangerous. When the wrong people underestimate you. One night, while cleaning, my foot hit something hard. A loose tile. Under it was a small key. Old. Rusty. My heart started pounding. I remembered Linda's words. Your grandfather's junk. My grandfather had been a quiet man. A smart man. A man who trusted no one. Slowly, I walked to the steel cabinet. The key fit perfectly. Click. The door opened. Inside were files. Documents. Property papers. And one envelope with my name on it. Ariana Miller. My hands shook as I opened it. What I read that night changed everything. The basement wasn't a punishment. It was an inheritance. And the people who laughed at me upstairs. We're living on borrowed time. That night, I sat on the cold basement floor, reading the papers again and again, because my brain refused to believe what my eyes saw. The house, the land, even my college fund. Everything was registered under a trust created by my grandfather. And the only beneficiary named in the legal will was me, Ariana Miller. Not Linda. Not Emily. Me. My grandfather had known. He knew what would happen after my father's death. He knew Linda's smiles were lies. He knew I would be pushed aside. So his final move had been quiet and perfect. The basement wasn't just a room. It was the only place in the house where the safe with the original documents was installed. Inside the cabinet were bank statements, property records, and letters written in my grandfather's handwriting. He had planned everything years ago. If anything happened to my father, the ownership of the house would remain hidden until I turned 21. Until then, no one could touch it. I covered my mouth, holding back a cry. All those nights I slept on the broken couch. All those days I was treated like a burden. They thought I was powerless. But legally, I owned the ground beneath their feet. From that day on, I changed. Not on the outside. I still kept my head down. Still did my chores. Still thanked Linda when she tossed food my way like charity. But inside, I was awake. I stopped arguing. Stopped explaining. Stopped defending myself. Because I didn't need to. I started making copies of every document. I scanned them at the library. Saved them to encrypted drives. Sent backups to an email Linda would never find. At college, I visited the legal aid office. When the lawyer read the documents, his eyebrows rose slowly. "You know," he said carefully, "once you turn 21, this house becomes legally yours." I smiled for the first time in months. "Yes," I said softly. "I know." Upstairs, Linda was planning renovations. Emily was talking about selling the house someday. They laughed about me at dinner. The basement girl, Emily called me. Let them laugh. They were living in my house. They just didn't know it yet. The hardest part of revenge is patience. Not anger. Not pain. Waiting. Every morning, I walked upstairs like nothing had changed. I made coffee for Linda. I listened to Emily complain about her life, her clothes, her friends. I nodded. I stayed invisible. They mistook my silence for weakness. Linda loved control. She loved reminding me that I depended on her. "You should start thinking about moving out after graduation," she said one evening, pretending to sound concerned. "This house isn't really yours." I lowered my eyes. "You're right," I said quietly. Emily smirked. "Basements are temporary, Ariana. You should be grateful we even let you stay." I smiled. Grateful. If only they knew. A week before my 21st birthday, I made my first move. I didn't confront them. I didn't threaten them. I simply prepared. I met with the lawyer again. We filed the final paperwork to activate the trust the moment I turned 21. ownership transfer, bank access, property rights, everything. This will change your life, the lawyer said. I shook my head. No, it will give me my life back. 2 days later, Linda came home furious. The bank called me, she snapped, slamming her purse on the table. They said some accounts are frozen. I pretended to be confused. Frozen? Yes, she yelled. Your grandfather's old accounts. They said something about a trust review. Emily looked nervous. Mom, what does that mean? Linda forced a laugh. Nothing. Just paperwork. But I saw it. Fear. For the first time since my father died, she was scared. That night, I slept peacefully. For the first time in the basement, it felt warm. On my birthday morning, I didn't go upstairs. I waited. At exactly 9 a.m., my phone buzzed. Lawyer. Happy birthday, Ariana. The house is officially yours. I closed my eyes. It was done. I walked upstairs slowly. Linda and Emily were in the kitchen. Linda, I said calmly, we need to talk. She turned, annoyed. What is it now? I placed the documents on the table. Emily's face went pale. Linda picked them up, and her hands started shaking. This isn't funny, she whispered. It's not a joke, I said. It's the truth. Silence filled the room. The storm had arrived. Linda's lips trembled as she stared at the documents spread across the kitchen table. Emily grabbed one page, reading it twice, then a third time. That's impossible, Emily whispered. This house is ours. I shook my head slowly. No, it never was. Linda's voice broke. Your father would never do this to me. My father didn't, I said calmly. My grandfather did. He planned ahead. The room felt smaller. The walls, the floor, the ceiling, everything seemed to listen. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult them. I didn't need to. Legally, I continued. The house transferred to me this morning. The accounts too. You no longer have access. Linda sank into a chair. What do you want? She asked, trying to regain control. Money. An apology. I met her eyes for the first time in years. I want what you took from me, I said. My dignity. My peace. Emily scoffed weakly. So what? You're going to kick us out? After everything? I smiled slightly. No, I'm going to give you something better. That afternoon, a legal notice was delivered to the house. Linda read it in silence. Temporary occupancy. 30 days. No access to accounts. No authority over the property. Terms and conditions. You're being cruel, Linda cried. After all I did for you. I tilted my head. You sent me to the basement, I said softly. You taught me how to survive alone. Silence. That night, I moved upstairs. Into the master bedroom. The same room Linda had once said was too good for me. I opened the windows and let the light in. The house felt different, lighter. As if it had been waiting. In the following weeks, neighbors whispered. Relatives called. Stories changed. Linda blamed everyone but herself. Emily avoided me completely. On the final day, I watched them pack. No yelling. No drama. Just suitcases and regret. Before leaving, Linda stopped at the door. "You won," she said bitterly. I shook my head. "No," I replied. "I survived." After they left, I went down to the basement one last time. I looked at the broken couch. The flickering bulb. The place where I learned patience. Where silence became strength. I turned off the light and closed the door. Some chapters are not meant to be revisited. I renovated the house slowly. Room by room. Memory by memory. The basement became a study. The kitchen filled with warmth. The living room with laughter. My grandfather's photo now hangs near the stairs. I stop there sometimes. "Thank you," I whisper. Revenge doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it simply takes its place.